Cycle the dismantling wave, destroy all artifacts and enchantments, it resolves. Nice.
Today on Commander Replay, we check out this Patreon-submitted Mangara the Diplomat deck. Can we draw our way to victory? Find out next on Commander Replay. Hey guys, if you want to do one-on-one deck review sessions with me or get your deck list played on video, be sure to check out the GoFundMe link in the description below.
Welcome back everyone, playing some Mangara the Diplomat today, and today's deck list comes to us from Patreon supporter Kithron. We've seen him pilot this deck on the channel a number of times. This deck is fun, this deck can draw a lot of cards. Take a look at this opening hand. I've gone ahead and kept because there's not a lot of lands in this deck. This deck has about 30 lands in it, and having 4 lands in the opener seems pretty good. I didn't really want to risk that on a mulligan, so decided to keep the 4-lander. It's going to be a little slow. It's not going to be the fastest hand ever. I wouldn't mind finding some mana ramp off the top here. I did make a couple quick changes to his deck before the game. He was calling this the quote-unquote fair version of Mangara. I added an Elesh Norn, an Angel of Destiny, and an Aetherflux Reservoir just to be able to close the game out a little bit quicker. Because this deck can very easily lead to like 2.5 hour games, and just from like an editing standpoint, I want to have some way to like make the game not go that long if possible. Like if things are going well for us, then I want to be able to close the game out relatively quickly instead of like having to draw my entire deck to do it. So that's more of like a time management type of change with the deck. But anyway, we draw another land. Lands are good. Play a land, pass the turn. No Soul Sisters in this hand. I did tell opponents to bring decks that are like turn 8 strong. This deck can be reasonably strong, especially for a mono white deck, but I still wouldn't call it quick. I don't think it's a turn 6 deck in its current iteration, but you know, I think around turn 7, turn 8, it can be fairly powerful and just have like, it can generate a lot of value and just put a lot of things on board, make your life total really high. But again, that does change a little bit too, adding some of the finishing stuff in the deck, like Elesh Norn, like Aetherflux Reservoir. So we'll see what happens today. Let's take a look at what Mangara actually does. It's 4 mana for a 2/4. It's got lifelink. It says, whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you or a planeswalker you control, draw a card. The second ability says, whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, draw a card. Mono white commander that says draw cards. Pretty good. I've had a little bit of experience with Mangara. Obviously, I've faced this deck a few times on the channel, and it can draw cards like crazy. But also, I was able to get this down in an Aurelia game on turn 3 once. I didn't film that one, so it's not posted anywhere. But I did draw about 5 or 6 cards before Mangara finally bit the dust in that game, and I'll take 5 or 6 cards off of this thing any day. So, yeah. Mangara, really cool. The ability to draw cards is really powerful, especially in white, who just doesn't have card draw. So, you know, it's the type of thing, like, I need like 7 copies of Mangara in paper, and I don't have any currently. Hopefully the price doesn't skyrocket on them at any point. But, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. Anyway, we drew into an Impassioned Orator, played an Impassioned Orator, so another Soul Sister, but only for our side of the battlefield, essentially. The thing I do like about Mangara is that it has lifelink, and lifelink can push you into the Lifegain direction, and that's what this deck is doing. It's a Lifegain deck. But you don't have to go that route if you don't want to. Like, the ability to draw cards opens up a lot more paths to you. If you want to mess around with, like, Revelar Karmic Guide combo is something fairly powerful in white. Or even if you just wanted to do, like, equipment stuff. I'm not saying it's the best equipment commander, but it doesn't force you into any specific direction, and I think that's really cool. It does bring it back to our turn. There's an Ajani's Pridemate. Let's get the Pridemate into play. Let's get a Thespian Stage in case of a wheel. We could also get Resplendent Angel. Let's get the Pridemate. Should we be mana efficient? We should probably be mana efficient, right? What do we do next turn? Next turn is going to be one of our commanders. Yeah, let's get the Resplendent Angel. I want to get the Pridemate in so it starts getting big. We go up to 40. Who's got the stronger deck? Anafenza is tapped out right now, so we'll just go that way. Don't expect too much removal. Sisay's got some mana open. You know, don't know exactly what they're planning, but don't want to tempt fate. Anyway, let's take a look at what our opponents are up to today. First up, we've got Storm Was a Mistake piloting Anafenza the Foremost. Anafenza kind of nasty in that it shuts off graveyards, and we do have a few pieces of reanimation in the deck, so Anafenza being in play may not be great for us. Also, there's 1 or 2 cards. There's like Ashes of the Abhorrent, which cares about things dying, and Anafenza puts him into exile, so potentially not getting life gain off of that should it show up and Anafenza in play. Opponent plays a Cultivate, going to get themselves some lands. Sounds good. Next up, we have Zombie Caller 42 piloting Zirda the Dawnwaker, and they've got some stuff going. Here comes a Solemn Simulacrum for them, so they've got a few things on board already. They've got this Weathered Wayfarer to get their lands. They've got Guild Globe. Enters the battlefield, draws a card they can sacrifice to add 2 mana of different colors. And that does get better with Zirda because it'll actually net you mana, which is cool. They've got a Paradise Mantle so they can turn their creatures into mana dorks. Yeah, so they've got a few little things happening over there, and they're going to poke with the Weathered Wayfarer out of mana, and I think they're leading on lands. Yep, at this moment they are leading on lands, so. And then finally, we've got Champion Nathune piloting Sisay Weatherlight Captain. We see a Serra Sanctum. Did he just F6 his turn? Discards a Profane Procession. Oh, maybe he's kind of mana stuck. Anyway, being that this is Serra Sanctum, I'm assuming this is Sisay Shrines, or it's the Enduring Ideal deck. It's one of the two. I guess we'll have to find out which it is. Anyway, it brings it back to our turn. We draw Luminarch Ascension. That's a pretty cool card. Let's get Field of Ruin into play. I'm going to go Luminarch Ascension and a Johnny's Pridemate right here. You know, we could have gone for our commander, but soon. That'll trigger the Impassioned Orator. I want to get these things going. I'm probably actually going to go for Broodmoth first, just for board wipe protection. Although, with Anafenza coming in, guess that takes off a little bit of the board wipe protection. We'll swing into Anafenza again, and we'll swing into Zombie in the Air. Verdurous Gear Hulk. That's a real Magic card. That thing makes stuff huge. Only one creature in play for them, so it's just going to be one really big Verdurous Gear Hulk, but it's an 8/8 trample. Yup. Better start pumping up that Johnny's Pridemate. We do get a counter on our Luminarch Ascension. Always a good thing. Opponent's going to equip the Paradise Mantle to the Weathered Wayfarer. Yeah, so either it can get a land or it can be a mana dork. It's kind of nice. Oh, opponent's going to Field of Ruin our Thespian Stage. Well, Thespian Stage down. We will get a Plains out of it, so if we ever run into a Maria at any point. This is going to ramp Champ a little bit, which he probably needs, you know. I'd like to have him actually be able to play the game a little bit. He gets a Plains, so if nothing else, he can at least cast Sisay. Oh, Crush Contraband on Verdurous Gear Hulk and Luminarch Ascension, both of those going down, and that is Exile. Makes me sad. What do we have for keywords currently? Only Flying. Flying is a good one, but doesn't put me on Odric just yet. If we had a second keyword, maybe Lifelink. Lifelink would be cool. So I'm probably on Mangara first, actually. Yeah, this is the Shrines deck. Nice. Sanctum of Tranquil Light coming into play. They can pay 6, tap target creature. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each shrine you control. Yeah, it's pretty good. Plays a land. Smothering Tithe for Champ. Well, now we're going to start attacking him. That makes me sad because I was about to play Mangara. I mean, we're probably still going to play Mangara, but now they're just going to have a lot of mana. Brings us back to our turn. There's Swiftfoot Boots. Swiftfoot Boots are really good with Odric. Smothering Tithe going to trigger. Yep, not paying. Play the Plains. Play Mangara. Leave up a Plains like we have a Swords or a Path. We gain a life. Triggers a Johnny's Pridemate. Go to combat. I think Smothering Tithe says big old hit into Champ. It's going to be a hit for 9. He goes down to 30. And we'll pass like that. Unfortunately, we need a little bit of mana ramp to get Odric and Swiftfoot Boots at the same time. We're on 5 mana currently, and it would take 7 to get both of those going. So Ancient Tomb, maybe. Mana Vaults. Soul Ring wouldn't do it. Mana Crypt would. No Mana Crypt in this deck. No Soul Ring in this deck? Well, that's something we got to change. Conclave Mentor coming into play. Anafenza coming into play. Looks like this could be a +1/+1 counters theme deck. We get to draw. Champ will get a token. Anafenza does care about +1/+1 counters. So, yeah, that's what looks like what they've got going. We draw our way into a Well of Lost Dreams. Could be pretty good. Just we're still a little bit light on mana right now. And you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I think that's a thing that I've noticed while facing this deck. This deck doesn't seem to ramp particularly well. So that's something I'll probably take a look at in the post-game wrap-up, is how to get more ramp into this deck, because you just need to be able to generate more mana. Playing your lands per turn is just not conducive to, really being able to stay in a game that well, because with the Smothering Tithe, Champ's going to be able to make more plays than us. Oh, that's an Approach the Second Sun. Oh, my. Well, that's going to put a clock on this game. We draw into a land. Lands are good. Question is, can we make them shuffle their they just shuffled their library. Okay. So they cast Approach, and then they crack a Terramorphic Expanse. So their library is shuffled, but we're not going to want to dawdle. We are going to want to get some pressure on the board. Anafenza is a problem for us because it shuts off Luminous Broodmoth. Don't love that. Argothian Enchantress coming into play. Yep, it's pretty good. Enchantress's Present coming into play. Oh boy. Knight of the White Orchid. That is mana ramp. I would love removal for Anafenza if we could catch like a Swords or a Path to get rid of it. That way we're protected from the board wipe. Shrine coming into play. Sanctum of Shattered Heights. They can discard a land or a shrine. It deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker where X is the number of shrines. That seems pretty good. And now they've got a bunch of mana because of Smothering Tithe. Shadow Spear coming into play. Also pretty good. I did cut one of those from the deck just to try to get some of those other cards I talked about in. Shadow Spear is like fine, but it hasn't really been super impressive in some of the situations that I've been using it. Like, yeah, if you're playing a lot of board wipes and you need to stop the indestructible thing, but the actual like +1/+1 trample lifelink, in that situation, I've really been feeling like, man, I just want Luxodon Warhammer. The power on Luxodon Warhammer is really what makes it very good. I mean, the other abilities are good too, but like +1/+1 doesn't change the equation that much, where +3/+3 is like a fairly serious amount of commander damage, especially if you're talking about like double strike and stuff like that. We draw an Oketra's Monument. That's good. That's mana ramp also. How many lands? Zirda's got a bunch of lands. It looks like they're on 7 lands, so we can play a land safely here. Yeah, okay. So play the Plains, play Oketra's Monument. Knight of the White Orchid's still going to be 2, but we get 1 back, so it's essentially a 1 mana play. Then after that, maybe we hold off on Knight of the White Orchid. Yeah, let's go for the Swiftfoot Boots, because the next turn we can set up like Odric and Knight or something like that. Put the boots on Mangara. We want to keep Mangara alive. I think Resplendent into Zombie. Got this 4/4 Pridemate. I think that's a valuable blocker. So if we send the order over to Champ, he probably just shoots it. It's not amazing. Yeah, I think we'll pass like that. I don't really want my stuff getting shot. But cost reduction is going to be a pretty big deal for this deck. If we can hold on to this, that's going to be a really good idea. And that's why I wasn't terribly sad about that Crush Contraband earlier, because Luminarch Ascension is good, but it's not like the best early game play. It does eat up just a lot of mana and kind of keeps you from doing other stuff. And like, the 4/4s are fine, but early in a game, you just don't have the mana to make enough of them that like it's super, super impactful. Like if someone plays a board wipe, you just lose all that mana that you pumped into those 4/4s. So like, it's not a bad card, but you'd rather get it going late game when you have a bunch of mana, as opposed to early game. Early game, people are just like, shoot it, and or kill your creatures, and then everything. It's when they run out of board wipes that it becomes really impactful, and then you have a bunch of mana, you start making 4/4s. Soul Ring in for opponent. If they do anything else, we should get a card draw right here. And they do. It's a Changeling Harvest. Oh, they didn't mutate it. They just hardcasted it. Okay. They're going to play an Abzan Ascendancy. Enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, create a 1/1 Spirit with flying. Okay. Opponent going to do some attacks. Anafenza is going to trigger. Put a +1 counter on this Conclave Mentor. And that doubles up the... it's basically a creature version of Hardened Scales. So they get, instead of 1 counter, it gets 2 counters. And that's going to do some damage to Zombie. Zombie goes down to 29. 6 commander. Zombie a little bit low on cards at this point. They're probably looking to get their Solemn killed, I would imagine. They're looking for the board wipe. We are not looking for the board wipe because we can't even protect against it because of Anafenza. Ooh. How far away are we from cycling this Dismantling Wave? Because, really? Is that what we're doing? Approach Second Sun. Here's the second one. Les Champ's got a counter, but... Ooh, he's got a Venser. Okay. Nice. So, Approach Second Sun goes back to hand, and Zombie Caller is now the arch enemy. So we are going to need to try and put some serious damage on Zombie. Zombie's saying that's supposed to be a cast trigger. I'm not sure. No, I think it's a resolution trigger. I'm looking at Gatherer right now. I believe that it still needs to resolve. Okay, yeah. So Approach the Second Sun has no effect until it's resolving. If the second one you cast is countered, you won't win the game. Okay, cool. But they still have it in hand, and that's plenty scary. They're at 29. I don't know that we're going to be able to get the damage we need to get on them. We need to draw another Plains, too. We have 11 damage in play currently. We'll be able to get a bit more if we go Odric, Knight of the White Orchid, and we get 2 tokens. Actually, I think if we do that, I think we're going to have 21 damage. Bow of Nylea in for Champ. Yep, he's going to draw 2 cards. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Honden of Cleansing coming in for opponent. We're going to draw. Looking for a land. It's a Daxos. Daxos is interesting because it's cheap, and it also gains us more life, which could potentially pump up the Pridemate more. But I was looking to catch a Plains there. Honden of Life's Web. Yep. Opponent's going to draw more cards. We draw... Ooh. Ranger Captain of Eos says they can't cast Approach the Second Sun. That's a pretty good card right now. So I think we're playing that. Champ gets another treasure. Yep. Question is, how are we getting to our next land drop? Because I really don't want to miss that. Yeah, we're short on... We don't have like a ton of white mana necessarily available. Knight of the White Orchid is kind of a land drop. So that gets us Ranger Captain. This gets us a Soul Sisters. This gets us Odric, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what we got to do. Play Ranger Captain of Eos. Triggers Oketra's Monument. Champ's going to Teferi's Protect. Okie dokie. Doesn't seem entirely necessary. There's a 1/1, triggers the Pridemate. Ranger Captain coming in, triggers the Impassioned Orator. Sarah Ascendant's a real card right here. That is significant damage. Yeah, let's get Sarah Ascendant. Cast Sarah Ascendant. Triggers Oketra's. Cast Odric. We might even have some damage left over after this. Get another token. Go to combat. Ooh, we're going to get lifelink too? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Odric trigger. Spread the abilities around. Yeah, let's count up the damage. That's 5, 15, 17, 20, 21, 22, 23, 29, 32. We have 32 damage. I guess everything into zombie except 1/3/3, which we will send into the Abzan player. Wait, I guess we forgot to attack with Odric. Well, hopefully that 3 damage doesn't matter. Also, hopefully I counted correctly. Still early in the morning. Caffeine's still kicking in. Down they go, Exaxes. Nice. That triggers the Pridemate a whole bunch of times. We need to watch out for a board wipe from the Abzan player. I'm not looking forward to that. If we can dodge that, then I'm going to sacrifice Ranger Captain on Champ's turn to kind of shut him off. He's got a creature, so creature means probably not a board wipe, though. They've still got Abzan Ascendancy. Obnixilis is Cruelty. Gonna shoot a creature. Yep, Odric going down. That's unfortunate. We do draw a card, though. Would like a land. There's a land. Oh, enters tapped. Gross. Goes into exile, so Odric not coming back. Utter End on the Ujani's Pridemate. Sadness. Well, we burned all the removal. We still got a lot left. Champ can still do some things because of the Shrine. So we're not, like, completely in the clear. So Champ's upkeep, 2 Honden triggers. We're going to sacrifice the Ranger Captain of Eos. So Champ can't cast non-creature spells this turn. These are spirits. They don't have flying. That's good news. He can still do something like get Sisay and activate Sisay, which is still pretty good, but shuts off board wipes at least, shuts off shrines in hand, other potentially big nasty spells. Oh, you know what? We don't have mass flying anymore. That's unfortunate. Sisay into play. Equip Shadow Spear. It's a 7/7. Oh my. He's going to burn our Resplendent Angel with the Shrine ability. Yep, down that goes. Brings it back to our turn. There's a Core Cartographer, so there's some ramp in our hand that we badly need to get going. I don't love this. We're going to have to take our foot off the gas a little bit, but I think if we set up for a big dismantling wave, that'll probably be a pretty good idea. Ooh, Champ's going to untap his Sarah Sanctum. That seems good. Yeah, we just don't have the mana to, like, be able to sit here and try to blow one of those up. That's not the best. Sacrifice 2 lands when Lotus Field enters. Ugh. No real life gain payoffs out on the board currently. We lost the Pridemate. Get Knight of the White Orchid in. Triggers Oketra's Monument. Triggers the Impassioned Orator and the Night Trigger. Get a Plains. Get Lotus Field in. Sacrifice our 2 tapped Plains. Get Core Cartographer. Does a single white mana do anything for us? Not really. Leave up Field of Ruin in case we run into an untapped land for some reason. I don't know what that reason would be, but every once in a while you do. Core Cartographer, Impassioned Orator trigger. Get a Plains into play, so slowly kind of catching up on lands, but I still feel really behind what our opponents are doing, and that's not amazing. I'm hoping Champ doesn't have anything he can flash out that just, like, crushes our flyers that we send in there, but I think we got to try, right? Send in some flyers. Everything else kind of stuck on the ground at the moment. We get in for a little bit. He's down to 27. Opponent's going to Outlast. We might have a bit of a stalemate here. I'm nervous about what Champ can do. Yeah, this is going to be tough. Man, we're going to lose Oketra's Monument if we cycle. But, I mean, we got to get rid of all this stuff. Oh, there's a Cyclonic Rift overloaded. Good game. Good game. Will give us a chance to ramp more, but we also need to not just lose the game. Although, maybe we just cycle the Orrery. We're at 88. We've got a little bit of life to play with. Activate Sisay gets Sanctum of All. I'm sure I'm not going to like this. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may search your library or graveyard for a shrine, put it onto the battlefield. If an ability of a shrine you control triggers, while you control 6 or more shrines, that ability triggers an additional time. Gonna untap this Chromatic Orrery. Yep. Activate Sisay. I hope there's nothing legendary that gives everything indestructible. Oh, I wonder if they have Avacyn in the deck. If they have Avacyn, we could get the blowouts. Although Sisay at 8 power, can't find Avacyn yet. But the problem is still mana plus Sisay equals things happen. You know, if Champ didn't Teferi's Protect early in the game, there's a chance that I may have swung at him because we knew we had the Approach to Second Sun locked up with the Sacrifice creature. And I may have actually gone in his direction because I knew this would happen if we let him go. And, you know, playing the preemptive Teferi's Protection just, like, took that out of the equation. So, good on him. That was a nice play. Plays a Honden of Infinite Rage. Yeah, that's a card. Looks like he's just about out of mana, though, so that's good. Hopefully nothing wild's going to happen right here, and we can cycle this Dismantling Wave. He's sending some damage our way. We're going to feel this. We're at 88. This will get rid of a bunch, though. Down to 74. More importantly, 8 Commander. That's the one we probably got to be a little bit more careful with. Brings it back to our turn. There's a Plains. Excellent. I really want to make that land drop. Not paying. So I think the smartest thing to do is probably try to get Knight of the White Orchid. I know Sarah sent in is attractive, but I want to get the lands going. So if we do that, that'll give us a Plains, untapped. And then I think we'll have exactly enough after we play the Plains to cycle the thing. So get Knight of the White Orchid. I mentioned it in the video the other day. I was talking to Kithron about this as we get the Plains. Get a Plains. But a while back, I had asked about what is the use case for Lotus Field. I wasn't really sure, other than like a green deck that's trying to do like the untapped land thing. But it does make sense for white in that it will keep your land count lower than your opponent's, so you can keep triggering things like Knight of the White Orchid, Land Tax, Tithe, Gift of Estates type stuff. So I think that does actually make a lot of sense. I think we can cycle this at instant speed, but yeah, maybe we'll try. Maybe we'll try. I'm going to double check that. I don't cycle very often. Yeah, cycling can be used at instant speed, so we'll see if we can catch that Abzan Ascendancy. I mean, we're going to have to do it by the end step anyway, so... we have 10 cards in hand. Didn't account for that. What are we losing? Actually, what's his name? Anafenza is not in play, so we can actually put a few creatures in the graveyard. Not going to have the time for Well of Lost Dreams, I don't think. Put the Orator into the graveyard, and... I guess Broodmoth doesn't do that much if Anafenza's in play, so get rid of the Broodmoth. Smothering Tithe trigger, yep. I gotta be careful. Hope he doesn't run like Boros Charm or anything. It's gonna forsake the worldly on the Sanctum, okay. This might draw out some interaction. It does not, okay. Soul Ring, nice. We can wrap up the Soul Ring in this Mantling Wave. Conclave Mentor, sure. Anafenza back to play. Opponent's gonna shoot their Soul Ring, sure. Looks like a spite play right there. Taps the mana in response. Anafenza in. Gonna use the Shrine ability on the Anafenza. All about that. Start running up that casting cost. Opponent's got some lands. Looks like they've got 9 mana exactly. It's about where we are. So if we can slow down Champ significantly here, I think we've actually got like a reasonable chance. We're not out of it by any means. And I could see the world where we pull ahead. So go to the end step. Cycle this Dismantling Wave. Hope this gets through. Oh, we left one over. Oops. Cycle the Dismantling Wave. Destroy all artifacts and enchantments. It resolves. Nice. We draw a Dowsing Dagger. That's more mana rep. We need that. So, Champ sounded like he had something. He said something about the auto yields. That hurts, because that's like a lot of his stuff. Cracks a fetch. Plays a Sky Shroud Claim. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Sisay on relatively low power now. There aren't like tons and tons of really powerful things that you can get for 2 CMC. I know there's a couple like the Green Oath and one of the other oaths, but so, you know, that does slow him down a little bit. It's going to take him a little while to rebuild. He's still got some power on board, and that's the thing we'll need to be careful of. So, ooh, Abundance. Abundance is pretty good. Kind of wish we wrapped that up in the board wipe. But I think for us, we're going to want to get the Soketra's Monument in so we can get blockers for these 1/1s. Because even though we have a lot of life, if we let that go for too long, they can chew through that life pretty quickly. Send the team. Yeah, we can eat one with the Knight of the White Orchid. Yeah, send in the team, basically. Okay. Eat of... Is Venser safer in play or in the graveyard? Because if it goes to the graveyard, they could theoretically reshuffle their graveyard somehow, although the bow is gone. I guess it makes... Yeah, we'll eat the Venser. I mean, they're fairly low on cards, so yeah, we'll try eating Venser. Although, he knows that. You know what? I'm going to play around it. I'm just going to eat a token. Venser might be safer in play. I don't think he has... In that deck, the way that it's built, I don't think he has a lot of ways to probably, bounce something and then replay it, so Venser might just be safer in play than it is out of play. Down to 62, 11 Commander. Having a lot of life is really cool. It does make it pretty hard for a lot of decks to kill you unless they go infinite. Brings it back to our turn. There's a Disenchant. I may disenchant that Abundance. I really want to get the Dowsing Dagger through. I really want the Oketra's Monument. I really want a lot of things. Boots, Haste, Serra Ascendant is probably the best way to get the Dowsing Dagger through, but that is somewhat of a significant mana setup. Start with Oketra's Monument. We need the blockers. Get Serra Ascendant. Triggers Oketra's. Serra Ascendant in. Play the Boots. Equip the Boots. Get the Dowsing Dagger. We'll give those to the Abzan player, I guess. The tokens. Put the Dowsing Dagger on the Serra Ascendant. Go to combat. Knight of the White Orchid, too valuable as a blocker in this moment, I think. Does eat all those tokens. Swing into Champ. Hits with the Dowsing Dagger. Transform the Dowsing Dagger. Champ down to 34. We're back up to 70. We have 3 additional mana. Maybe we just go Mangara, since people are going to probably try to play stuff. Get that card draw going. Cast Mangara. Gives us a few more blockers. And also, if Champ attacks us again, then get some card draw off that. All right, not too bad. Still kind of a setup turn. Not the drop the big hammer turn, but I think that setup still allows us to start pulling ahead a bit, especially ahead of the Abzan player, I think, because our mana is starting to look a lot better. We have card draw in the command zone, always good. We've got free value on Oketra's, also pretty good. Here comes Anafenza back to play. Yep. Champ still has a lot of mana, though. He has abilities and things that he can do. Abzan Ascendancy back to play. We draw a card. There's a Brimaz. Kind of looking for our finishers at this point. Haven't done the crazy card draw this game like we've seen Kithron do in a few games. There's been games where he gets down to 40 or 50 cards left in his library. We haven't done that. But we've been choked on mana a little bit. I do think the mana production needs to come up, and that will speed the deck up, I think. So, things to consider. See what Champ's got. Yeah, those tokens getting bigger. Maybe that wasn't the right call. I don't know. But I didn't really want to give Champ more blockers. Honden of Night's Reach. Ugh, that's a bad one. That is a bad one. How many shrines currently? 1. Yeah, I'd probably give up on Daxos. Oh, it's the beginning of their upkeep. Okay, we've got time. We can disenchant that. I thought it was the beginning of our upkeep. I'm like, oh god. That'd be bad. That would be bad. Argul's Bloodfast, card draw and life loss. We draw a card. Argothian Enchantress draws a card. There's an Elspeth. Elspeth, pretty cool. What can Elspeth blow up? Can hit the Conclave Mentor, the Anafenza, can hit Sisay. Would hit our Serra Ascendant, and that's kind of what we're leading on at the moment, so it's a tough call right there. We'll see. Making bodies is cool. Champ trying to figure out his mana. Ooh, a meal coming into play. Spicy. Venser's still in play. That's bad. Crap, now we need to deal with a meal? That's not good. I didn't think he had anything like that in the deck. All right. So we're going to want to start with our small mana plays first. There's the Plains. Excellent. Play the Plains. Start with this Disenchant. See if he wants to blink on the Hondens. Nope, lets that go. Venser doesn't hit abilities. That's important. Means we're probably going to wait on the Elspeth. Yeah, we probably just cast all the other stuff in our hand then. Cast Daxos. Makes an Oketra's. Ooh. Emil can... You know what? Emil's a 4/4, and we'll get hit by Elspeths. Let's see if he wants to get busy with the blink stuff. We need to get rid of this Emil because he has a bunch of mana, and that will be bad. That will be really, really bad. Swing into Champ. Goes down to 28. We're up to 76. Try Elspeth. Oh, are we one short after casting Daxos? We're one short of potentially being able to do it twice. Ugh. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. Wish I didn't play Daxos. Try Elspeth. Not hopeful. It resolved. Okay, blow up all the big stuff. Oh, he can bounce his own Emil. Yep, Blink Venser. Maybe he goes for Sisay. Venser and Emil trigger. I think he's thinking about the target. I think the plus counters on Emil might help. No, it's still going to be small enough. He's going to, he's going to blink the unicorn. That's bad. Still going to pop Sisay, but we're going to lose our Sarah Ascendant. Abzan Ascendancy triggers. Opponent gets some spirits. Going to gain some life with the Conclave Mentor. I think we have to Field of Ruin. Shoot the Sarah Sanctum. Get a Plains. We could go Brimaz and Equip, or we could go Core Cartographer. In this one, you know, we're pretty low on cards, actually, so let's go Brimaz and Equip Mangara. We need to keep Mangara alive. Get a Noketra's Monument trigger. Daxos trigger. Another Daxos trigger. Put Boots on Mangara. We got to keep that alive. We need the card draw. Pass the turn. Hope we don't get crushed by Emil Venser. Thragtusk, nice. Opponent gains 5 life. Chittering Harvester back into play. Savine's Reclamation is a card. That is a very nice card. What can we get with that? We can get lands. We can get Impassioned Orator. Meh. Well of Lost Dreams is out of range. Luminous is out of range. Mostly lands, actually. But Champ's got a lot of fancy lands over there, so it's like not the worst idea to blow those up. But also, if we lose some of the stuff on board currently, we can get it back. We definitely want to keep Oketra's Monument in. What does Thespian Stage do for us? What can we copy that matters? There's an Alchemist Refuge. Minamo. Yeah, not seeing anything terribly interesting. You could copy one of these 3-mana lands, which isn't awful. Uh-oh. Champ spending a lot of mana. Let's see what this is. Nexus of Fate. Cool. Cast Agent of Erebos. That one's going to exile the graveyards. Awesome. So, Savine's Reclamation, now a dead card. We draw Authority of the Consoles, gains us more life. We need to find our finishers. And we need to be able to get it through the Emil Venser bit. Agent of Erebos, exile the graveyards. Exile our graveyards, target player. Awesome. Awesome. Quite the battle so far. Opponent's tapped out right here. Luckily they don't have Sisay in play. Sisay does take a bit of mana to get back, so, you know, that's a thing. They can't just do everything they want. They'll have to make choices about how much they want to leave up for Emil Venser, and then, you know, how much they can get, if they can get Sisay in. Like, they can't do all of that necessarily in the same go-round, so that's something. I'm going to draw a card with the Bloodfast, sure. That tells me they don't really have what they're looking for. I like that. For us, if we can catch a Skull Clamp, that would be pretty good. Skull Clamp Oketra's is really powerful. Also, we've got the Elspeth still in play. That can make soldiers for us. Draws another card. Okay. I'm okay with them spending mana on card draw. Also spending life on card draw. But they've got a lot of blockers still. So we need to find Elish Norn. Another big spell. Please don't be another Nexus of Fate. Primeval's Glorious Rebirth. Oh, that's so bad. At least they're tapped out. Agent of Erebos triggers a million times. No, because they got Sarah Sanctum back. Oh my god. So they have a bunch of white mana. This is bad. This is really bad. Nexus of Fate. We need something big. We need it right now. Like, we don't have a lot of time to mess around. Gotta hit one of our finishers. They've got 5 extra mana from Orrery. Yep. That's enough to get Emil in. Tap Sarah Sanctum for a cool 12 mana, and then 5 more off the Orrery. Let's see what they got. Untap Legendary Permanent. Oh, my... Yep. Make more mana if they want to. Let's see what it is. Draw a card for each color among permanents you control. Wow. So draw 5 cards. I assume they have all 5 colors. There's a lot of stuff over there. I haven't looked. Green, blue, black, red, white. Yeah. Destiny Spinner. Creature enchantments you control can't be countered. Target land becomes an XX. There's a land. We actually don't need lands right now. We need things other than lands. We need the finisher. Agent of Erebos trigger. I'm going to check the deck list real quick. See what our outs are. Elish Norn is 1. Heliod's Intervention would be good. Archangel of Thune, reasonable. Angel of Destiny, reasonable. Aetherflux Reservoir. Search for Escanta for opponent. Draws a card. Greater Oromancy. Ooh, yep, okay. That turns off most removal. Oh, Seedborn Muse, are you kidding me? Oh, man, I hate that card so much. So much. Now it's GG. Well, Emil's not in play yet, so they can't blink everything under the sun. Oh, they can flash it in, of course. Friggin' Seedborn Muse. Oh man, I hate that card so much. I can deal with all this other stuff. It's Seedborn Muse. It's like, hey, it's basically like take an extra turn, is what it does. Almost. Opponent untaps, we untap. It's going to make it really tough to have anything that matters. Flash in Emil. Yep. Alchemist Refuge. God Eternal Oketra is not the answer. Opponent's going to draw a bunch more cards. Yeah. We're going to scoop it up there. It's just going to be, they're going to grind us to death with value. Like we can't interact with Seedborn Muse, and with that, they can just draw a million cards and do a million things every turn. So that's the game. Extra turns in Seedborn Muse. Ugh. Those are still a thing that white is really soft to. Like, we needed to draw our finisher sooner, and we didn't. So, ouch. One of the things in this deck needs way more mana production. Like, 30 lands is not acceptable. And it needs to ramp more also. Our early turns were really bad, and we almost lost in the early turns because of that. So let's take a look at what ramps in the deck. All right, so there are 8 pieces of ramp and 2 cards that find more lands. That's not going to be enough. Like, you just need more mana production. Like, the reason we lost to Champ is because he could produce more mana than us. Like, that's kind of the end of the story. Like, I get it. There's, like, better finishers and stuff. There's extra turns and things like that. That mono white obviously doesn't have in its arsenal. But if we could have produced more mana sooner, the problem is we were having to spend, like, turn 8 or something like that, trying to get caught up on mana production. That's where the problem lies. Like, if we were able to get our mana going much sooner, we could have had bigger turns then and potentially killed him while he was still trying to rebuild. The fact is, like, because our mana was bad, we had to take turns off late to rebuild our mana. And if our mana was better early, those would have been the turns to take him out. So, yeah, the deck needs way more mana production. Any Signet style mana rock, we need a couple of those. I'm going to go for a Mind Stone, works nicely with Sun Titan. Pearl Medallions in the deck, cost reduction, super good. I almost wonder, I know it's expensive in paper, but like, I almost wonder, is Cloud Key good enough for this deck? You have a lot of creatures, and cost reduction is really powerful. Certainly something to think about, but it's not the cheapest card. It hasn't been reprinted ever. It's exactly one printing of it. So there's that. I'm going to go for a Thought Vessel. This could be anything. I know they're not the cheapest in paper either, but it's actually not out of the question for this deck to have over 7 cards in hand, especially if you get Skull Clamp. So that's a pretty reasonable place to be. Thran Dynamo. Thran Dynamo is the 3rd best mana rock behind Soul Ring and Mana Grip. Oh, yeah, we're missing Soul Ring. Need Soul Ring. If people talk about banning Soul Ring, you never not run a Soul Ring. Like, that, you have to. You just have to. A Soul Ring somewhere in this game, even not necessarily turn 1, but somewhere in the game, would have helped us out quite a bit, I think. So that's 12 pieces of ramp now. This is 2 cards that find lands. We still need just more lands also. And it doesn't need to be a lot more lands, but it needs to be at least a couple. I'm going to say try 33. So I'm just going to add some basic planes here. 1, 2, 3. So 33 lands, good amount of ramp. And I get it. Mangara draws, and so you don't need like tons and tons of lands, because if you're drawing, then you should be fine. There's a Karoo in here. We're getting rid of that. Get rid of that Karoo. Those are kind of a bad time. Add another planes in place of that. But yeah, like, the key to the format is mana production. That's really what allowed Champ to beat us, because he was making so much mana with Smothering Tithe and Serra Ascendant early that he was able to do a bunch of wild stuff. And like, we had to spend basically our entire turn to get to cycle that Dismantling Wave. And as good as that was, if we were able to do other things in that turn, you know, even small things, even if it was just like Knight of the White Orchid and Serra Ascendant, you know what I mean? Serra Ascendant then puts more pressure on him. And the fact that like we couldn't really put pressure on him in that turn, that stuff matters a lot. So getting the mana production up, obviously we need to cut some stuff. Well of Lost Dreams is in this deck. On the current level of mana production, there's just not a lot of room for Well of Lost Dreams to be successful, because you just need to produce more mana. Now, with the changes I just made, I think it becomes a lot more attractive. Oh, Core Cartographer's in there too. There, 13 pieces of ramp. Got Archangel of Ties in this deck. I like Archangel of Ties. I think it's a cool card, but the deck spits out a lot of tokens. It gains a lot of life. I just don't think it's actually that necessary. Like, it already just kind of has a lot of protection from attacks because tokens and life gain, so you can live without that. Anyway, mana production-wise, this is going to be good right here. I'm going to resort this deck by CMC, see where we're at. 22 drops. Yeah, let's cut some 2 drops. Luminarch Ascension, I get it. It's a cool card. You know, in the late game, I think this deck does block well enough that Luminarch could be a thing. But, like, you know, the deck is low on mana, and you know what? I think we can live without it. Get rid of it. So it's not a deck that produces a ton of mana. You know, like, we've added some back in. It'll produce a little bit more now. But you need mana for Luminarch Ascension to really kind of do its thing. Plus, we added some other finishers in the form of Angel of Destiny, Elish Norn, and Aetherflux Reservoir. Those will do the same job but better and on less mana, I think. We missed Boreas Charger when we were going through the land stuff. It's probably fine. It's not my favorite, but you know, do you really need Mentor of the Meek? Like, again, it's a mana production thing. You need a lot of mana for this card to work, and you know, based on the way I think you can live without it. Honestly, I really think you can live without it. I just don't think it does enough. Like, you're drawing cards for free right here, and Skull Clamp is 1 mana to draw 2, and not while it's on the stack, so you can kind of do it when it makes sense. Mentor of the Meek is like, I don't know, it's just not a card that I have a ton of love for. I honestly don't think you need Scroll Rack in this deck. Yes, there's Scroll Rack land tax, but like, Scroll Rack by itself can be underwhelming. I get that it's a good card and it's powerful, but like, I find that in most decks, I just don't need it that badly. Like, if you're already going to be drawing cards, like, I think your best bets in this deck are 1, keep Mangara alive, 2, tutor for Skull Clamp. Like, I think those are the 2 best things that you can do. There is a Heliod in this deck, so you could add Walking Ballista if you wanted to do that combo. I didn't go that route this game, but if you wanted to add more punch to the deck, you add that to the deck. But that also kind of changes what the deck is a little bit. It's like less about life gain and more so about just find the combo is sort of what happens. So that's a thing. We've got a lot of 4-drops in the deck. Where can we lighten up? You know, the Planeswalkers. You know what I would do, honestly, in this deck? So I saw this Ajani in the deck, and, like, I really want this Ajani to do things, but, like, it's kind of underwhelming for me. If I can run this, I would probably just run Revelark Karmic Guide in its spot instead. So I would cut this. I would cut... No, that one's pretty good. You know, even a Johnny Goldmane, like, yeah, it gains life. For me, I'm more about the plus counters mode of that card because it's an anthem, pumps things up. But, you know, I've seen this come down once or twice in games that I've played against Kith, and, like, it just doesn't do that much for me. So I would drop this Goldmane. Now, you know, on the other hand, I'm not saying you don't run anthems. Like, we have Elish Norn, which is the best anthem, but I'd probably look somewhere else to get my anthems. I mean, you know what's funny? You could probably run Crescendo of War in this deck. If you time a Crescendo of War really well, like after you've been getting Oketra Monument tokens and stuff, you could probably just delete people from the game. That could be a funny one, but it's a risky card. You gotta, like, be very careful with that. Is God Eternal Oketra good enough? I don't know. And one of the problems, too, is that, like, you know, this game got late. I think it was turn 13 or something like that. I added an Elish Norn. That means that there's, like, very little at the upper end of the mana curve in this deck. You still need some late game punch. You don't need, like, a ton of things up here, but you need a few things that are going to be highly impactful for when the game goes long. And from what I've seen from this game, this deck tends to stall the game more than it's just like, I do the thing, end the game. So having some stuff up here is going to make sense. Elish Norn is the obvious one. Disenchant, a little bit underwhelming, I'll be honest. You know, we shot one thing with it. I get it, they were playing an enchantment deck, so there's, like, a lot of targets. But when you have Heliod's Intervention, you have Dismantling Wave. Those do a pretty good job. Honestly, I would go Austere Command over that. I get there's, like, a want to be efficient, but Heliod's Intervention and Dismantling Wave can be pretty efficient on their mana costs, so I'd look to them more than I would look to anything. How much do you really need this Pristine Talisman? I get it, it's ramp, but it's kind of slow ramp. It gives you some life gain so it can trigger some stuff. Maybe. It's not my favorite. The deck needs more evasion also. That's one thing. Like, our Odric went down. A couple things you could look at evasion-wise. Akroma's Memorial is the big expensive one. Could be pretty good. If that's not your speed, or if you're, like, priced out of that, then you could go for, like, even Victory's Herald would be really cool in this deck. Attacking creatures you control gain flying and lifelink until end of turn, so that's going to give you more life gain and give your stuff flying. Like, we saw how good flying is. You just fly over everyone with the Odric, but I would probably add that to this deck because, you know, I think it's just a cool card for the deck. Like, you don't get to run this card a lot, but I think it makes a lot of sense here, so I think you put it in the deck. Honestly, I would cut Brimaz. I love Brimaz, like, from a flavor standpoint, and the 3/4 is, like, pretty decent, but I don't know, it just gets chumped by everything. The tokens usually get eaten by something, so like it just hasn't been the most effective. It's really good in 1v1. I think it's just less good in multiplayer. So I've added Revelark and Karmic Guide. No sack outlet in the deck, so it won't go infinite per se, but like, you know, as one dies, it can bring the other one back, and I think that's something. I would add a high market to facilitate that a little bit more. Need to cut a couple cards still. I would cut Ashes of the Abhorrent. I think the deck gains enough life on its own. And the graveyard ability, like, misses too many things. Like, there was a Primeval's Glorious Rebirth right there. Wouldn't have stopped it. I get that it stops some things here and there, but I don't know. It's not my favorite. It lulls you into a false sense of security, like, I have graveyard protection. It's not the best graveyard protection. Like, now that we've cut it, we kind of look and we have no graveyard protection. I think it's kind of about being realistic about that. And like, it doesn't protect you the best. What else can we get rid of? I would probably add an Angelic Accord to this deck. Although 4 life is a bit, you're probably talking about lifelink at that point. But I would take this over Luminarch Ascension in this deck, again, because of the mana production. Maybe. Because you have both Rangers in the deck, I would add a Weathered Wayfarer. Hitting your lands is just so crucially important. With that, I think we can cut a Plains probably. We can cut a land probably. Go down to 32. That gives us like 4 cards that find lands. Plus the card draw, plus better ramp. Better ramp is really the key. Still 2 cards over. What are we getting rid of? I mean, I keep eyeing this Pristine Talisman. Like, I know why it's in here. You know what I'd rather cut? I think I'd rather cut Legion's Landing instead. Just like, Legion's Landing is fine. It doesn't blow me away as a card. You know, I think its best use is probably just Skull Clamp fodder, but we can get that other places. 1 card to go. I'm going to go Pristine Talisman. I get that it can do things, but I got to cut something, so just to finish this up. So yeah, those are the changes that I would make. The big thing that I've done here is I've reshaped the mana curve. I think beforehand it was like really heavily focused on 2 and 3 mana, which is great, and you can do a lot of cool stuff with being efficient, but when you go late, you don't have the punch. And that was a thing that I noticed. And the other thing too is we've added significantly better mana production, added several pieces of ramp, 3 or 4 of them, added 2 lands to the deck, added another way to find lands to the deck. So I think the deck's going to have a much more balanced game. There's some other things I would still love to change. I did add a board wipe also. I think it was a little bit light on board wipes. Elish Norn is also like a half a board wipe. So it's got more recursion. It's got more other things going on now. And I think, I get that they were trying to do the, like, quote unquote, make it fair. But at the end of the day, it's also like, if you have board control, like, and you're drawing most of your deck, just like have a way to end the game. Because no one wants to sit through like 2.5 hours of drawing cards and, you know, not being able to end the game. So, you know, throw an Elish Norn in there, make all your tokens huge, get in for damage. Like, if we could have resolved a Norn at the end there, that would have been the game for us. But anyway, so that's what I would do. I do think the deck is really cool. There's a lot of really cool interactions in here, and the cards are great. I think it was just a matter of getting the curve in order, getting the mana production in order, and this is much more my personal play style, because we saw that Cyclonic Rift. Any board wipe there would have been bad. Cyclonic Rift actually probably wasn't the worst because it allowed us to re-ramp with our creatures. But, you know, any board wipe there is going to hit us really hard, and our mana production was just terrible at that point in time. So it's really all about mana production. That's the big key. Anyway, gonna wrap it up. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching. Hey guys, in addition to my TCG affiliate player link, I now have an affiliate link with Flipside Gaming, an LGS from my hometown. You can use the promo code REPLAY to save 10% on your next order over $10. Both affiliate links are in the description below. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below.